The race for the Democratic nomination in Montana's first U.S. congressional district is still too close to call. The district covers much of the western part of the state, and the winner of that race will face off against Libertarian candidate Nick Sheedy and Republican Aaron Flint, who secured his nomination last night. Joining us now is one of the Democrats vying for his party's nomination, Sam Forstag. He is a union smoke jumper who entered the race in response to the impact of DOGE cuts on the Forestry Service and his fellow union members. We should note the race still too close to call as of this hour this morning. But Sam, great to see you. For those who don't know your story, tell us what a smoke jumper is and why that would be less hazardous to your health than being a member of Congress.
Well, thank you so much for having me on. I'm Sam Forstag. I'm running for Montana's Western Congressional District. Until about 6 months ago, I worked for the U.S. Forest Service. Smoke jumper, we parachute into wildfires to put them out while they're still small. And I was jumping and vice president of my union's local when all the DOGE cuts started. And what ended up happening here in Western Montana, where public lands and public lands workers are a big part of our economy, is they ended up firing about a quarter of the Forest Service in this state. And they said it was all about efficiency, but the people that they fired were the lowest paid people in our agency. It was mostly people making less than $20 an hour, swinging tools and running chainsaws in the woods to keep our public lands accessible. And when I reached out to Ryan Zinke, the Republican we got in this seat, time after time again, I got crickets. So I decided if he's going to come after my union members and my coworkers' jobs, I'm going to come take his, and we are well on our way. As of this morning, we are a few thousand votes up and ready to keep building this coalition of working people and union members so we can win this darn seat back.
So, Sam, if you were to win, speak to us then about how you make an appeal in the state of Montana, a state that is reliably Republican. You know, Jon Tester, yes, of course, was a Senate Democrat, but he is sort of the exception to the rule in recent years in your state. How do you make the case that it's time to go in a different direction?
I mean, I'll tell you, step one is just look into history. We know a Democrat can win this state because just last year, Senator Tester won the Western Congressional District while losing the state in a tough year for Democrats. The appeal is real simple. It's we need to have the kind of Democratic Party that we used to have when we won places like Montana. We need to make sure that working people, folks making under $100,000 a year, are the core of our coalition, that union members are at the core of our coalition, and talk about the fact that this is not just a party for working people, it's a party of working people. And we do that by running folks who know what it's like to be on the wrong end of things like housing and healthcare and childcare that are getting too darn expensive while our wages are not keeping up. And that there are affirmative, clear solutions we can offer to make sure that our government is helping us to solve those material issues that working people are facing on a day-to-day basis.
Sam, you are a union, you're in your union, you've seen the DOGE cuts firsthand. Would you talk about, like, was there any, one of the things I've talked to people who've seen the DOGE cuts firsthand, they've talked about how there wasn't much focus on efficiency, and they just sort of fired broad swaths of people, and they weren't focused really on anything except sort of just, I would love you to talk about what you saw DOGE do in your in smoke jumping and firefighting.
Absolutely. I mean, I want to be upfront. There are inefficiencies in the federal government, right? You look at something like federal hiring, where it takes 9 months to hire somebody making $15 an hour on a trails crew. That is inefficient. The inefficiencies are not the people. And they certainly are not the people making $13, $14 an hour swinging tools in the woods to make sure that you can make it up a road to a trailhead or up a trail to your public lands. And that's what we saw. 2 Valentine's Days ago, we called the Valentine's Day Massacre. They fired 360 Montanans just in the Forest Service in one day with no cause and no notice. 85% of them were making $19.70 an hour or less. They were firing people making $11 an hour, swinging tools. That is the most efficient labor that you got in the federal government. I'd offer it's perhaps too efficient, because that results in people in places like Montana living out of the back of their trucks or living in their cars. So what we saw was nothing to do with efficiency. What we saw was everything to do with power and consolidation and cutting what few public services working people in this country still have access to and still rely on, so that they can turn around and privatize them and contract them out and turn them into just another source of profit, where we end up paying so much more for less. And we don't have to stand for that.
Montana Democratic congressional candidate Sam Forstad. We'll keep watching as the votes come in. Thank you and good luck.
Thank you, Jonathan.